What's up, guys? Welcome to Chat with Will Grant. I'm super excited for another episode with my good friend Ian Hardin from Red 5 Performance. He is an elite level strength coach, and he also has a master's in biomechanics, and he's all about making people happy, healthy, and strong. So it was an obvious connection, and I'm super excited to introduce Ian. What's up, man? How's everything going?
Dude, it's going really well, man. Life has been really good.
What makes it so good?
I just went out on my own doing fully online stuff now, and it's just cool. I'm learning a lot of new things, all the digital stuff. That's been a challenge, but yeah, I just feel like you can reach so many more people. And just in the short time that I've been doing it, yeah, I've been able to reach so many people, things that to me are just kind of basic knowledge, and other people are like, oh man, I've been doing this thing wrong for so many years. I just tried this little thing and man, it's so much better. And it's cool getting that just feedback already from people that are excited about learning. I'm trying to take these high level athletic ideas and bring them to the general population, and people are loving it. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Cool.
I feel like that is one of the coolest things about these platforms, about like the Instagram and the social media and the YouTube, is that we're able to connect with people all over the world, and can be like a literal microphone where if we do have our intentions right, aligned with our purpose and our strengths, is when we can really start to affect and help a lot of people. So we've talked a lot in the gym, and I'm know that you're loaded with so much knowledge that I can't wait to get into. But first, I want to know where it all started. Where are you from?
So I'm originally from Ocean City, New Jersey, born and raised Jersey Shore.
Jersey Shore.
Yeah, it's a crazy lifestyle, man. Honestly, I didn't really appreciate it as much as I did until I moved away.
Did you like the show Jersey Shore, or do you feel like it depicted you guys a little off, or what?
It didn't depict us well at all, but I love the show. I'm gonna be honest, I love the show. But no, that's not really how it is. At least where I'm from, Ocean City is in the way south of New Jersey, and that show is more North Jersey, so you get a lot more New York influence in North Jersey and a lot more like Philly influence in South Jersey. So it's definitely a bit of a different world, but it's fun, man.
Yeah, what was it like growing up there compared to how now you're in Florida? I know it's got to be a lot different.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, man, because you get like the New Jersey, that Northeast mentality with people where there's like this endearing roughness and rigidity in people. They just tell it like it is. But also growing up at the beach, you get people that are like, hey, everything's all cool, man. Yeah. But yeah, it was cool, man. In high school, when we have epic waves, when a hurricane's coming through, you have 400 kids absent from school. That's just kind of part of life.
And did you surf those waves or go in that ocean?
For sure, man. I mean, I wouldn't. It's like if you grew up in a ski resort. I wouldn't consider myself a surfer because there's guys that are professional surfers. Yeah. But like everybody is out surfing. So cool. I mean, I was a lifeguard on the beach for 8 years up there, and that's where you're in the ocean all day long. So you learn how to ride waves on a surfboard, on a boogie board, with your body, in boats, kayaks, paddle boards. You're just living in the water. It's fun.
Sweet. And what led you from that to just being interested in becoming stronger, or how long have you been lifting weights and getting strong and learning how to get strong?
Yeah, well, actually, I was more of into school, and I went out of high school. I went to school for physics and math. I did that for 3 years, and I really enjoyed it. I did really well. Just my brain, just for whatever reason, just gets it. It just gets it, and like writing a sentence with proper English, that's not my thing. But my brain just understands math. So I got to that point, and I got really into exercising towards the end of that. And a lot of it was, growing up with that kind of like party lifestyle, I was just kind of getting a little too deep into that, and I started exercising. I've always been an athlete my whole life, and that's something that kind of just started to pull me out of that just naturally, and I really fell in love with that big time. So I ended up dropping out of school, and my parents were very happy with that.
You dropped out of high school?
No, I dropped out of college. 4.0, double major, crushing it, and they're just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So I didn't do anything for a year, I just trained and exercised all the time. Then I went back to school for exercise science. I was like, all right, let me get on like an actual track for this stuff. But that's really just it pulled me out of a bad situation, and I just, like I said, I was always an athlete, and I just really enjoyed it. And I was like, I just wanted to learn more and more and more. My brain is always trying to figure things out. So it's like, how do I get these results faster? Yeah. There's got to be a way.
And what was the result, or the, I guess, intention that you were chasing? Honestly, when you were first getting into just lifting weights?
I think when I first got into it, I was just like chasing that high of like partying and doing drugs and stuff like that. Like, this makes me feel really good when I do it, and I want to just keep doing it. So it was almost like trading almost like one addiction for another in the beginning. Yeah. But then through that whole process, like you go down a crazy road when you're getting into fitness. Like, you learn a lot of self-discovery, and things like that. And I started realizing that. And one of my favorite things is lifting really heavy weights. You learn a lot about yourself. You learn, hey, you know what? I'm not made of glass. I'm actually pretty tough, and I know that because I just got stapled by a 600-pound barbell. Like, I'm still here, you know. So I think, you know, just growing and maturing through that, you learn a lot of lessons in a short period of time versus just kind of going through life and hoping that you learn lessons. Like, you present challenges every day, and, you know, just getting beat up a lot. You learn a lot of cool things about yourself.
It's funny how just everything seems to connect or relate. You know, like I say all the time, the way we do one thing is the way we do everything. And getting under a barbell or just going into a gym and starting to lift weights, you're building physical strength, but you're building mental strength as well. You know, like every rep that you got to push yourself through, you're overcoming that same thinking in your mind as well.
For sure, yeah. And it's like, all right, especially once you start writing stuff down, like, all right, I did this last week, I want to do just one more rep this week. So mentally, it's like, I just get to a point where it's like, I just tried my hardest. That was my absolute best. Well, how do I get just a little bit better? It's that, like, a lot of times it's that little bit extra mental effort, growing mentally and maturing mentally to know, hey, my body's actually capable of maybe more than I thought. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and so did it just naturally turn into more of like you taking it more and more seriously, or was there an instant that happened where you're like, I'm going all into this strength? Or
yeah, so it kind of just built up little by little. Then when I was in school, when I went back to school for exercise science, that's where it's kind of like, all right, this is my life now.
Yeah.
And then when I graduated, I immediately started a gym, and that was in Delaware. And I did that for about 5 years. That's where I did a lot of my best coaching. So I'd done, you know, I coached Division I college in Pennsylvania. I did women's rugby and women's gymnastics, and it was a lot of fun, man. It's like they're both so much fun to deal with. The gymnasts are like, you know, they're just like perfectly fine-tuned machines and super disciplined, and they're insanely athletic. And then these rugby girls are just like wild animals. You know, you're just like, so like the coaching spectrum was way different, but you know, you get so many good experiences from that. Like the rugby girls, I had to coach them. Yeah. The gymnastics girls, you could just tell them what to do. But this was like, you had to earn their respect. And a lot of these girls were twice my size. You know, I'm looking up at them like, you know, it's like you're just hoping, like in your mind, like, please, I hope this works. But yeah, you had to learn how to actually work with people and, you know, gain their respect for them to do what you want them to do. What
were some tricks that you used to gain their respect and to kind of get into the athlete's head of helping them, you know, just reach their next level?
Yeah, well, a lot of it, I mean, my coaching style is definitely pretty stern and pretty tough. I just tell people what they need to hear directly as possible, and a lot of people do not like that. Yeah, a lot of people do not like that. But it's the fastest way to get better. Like, you have to be able to take criticism, and I don't attack people's character. I think that's really very important. You know, if you attack their work ethic, if you attack the way that they're doing something, hey, it's hey, you could be better. That's always what his director is, you could be better. And a lot of people don't like that, but a lot of people have never had that before, especially from someone that's like, listen, I genuinely care about you, and I want to see you do well, and that's why I'm being like this. So it takes some time in the beginning, and then once they start seeing the results, once they start pushing girls around on the field, and they're like, you know what, like, this might be working, maybe. And then there's usually a point in time, you know, I feel like I had this pretty recently with, you know, a lifter that I coach now. There's a point in time where something clicks in their mind where they're like, oh, I get it. Yeah. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good now. And it's because this guy did not let me get away with any bullshit.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So what do you think makes that click happen compared to making sure that you're not going to, I guess, judge their character, but put them in the right mindset to make that click happen where they are, oh, I get this, I am strong, I do have that confidence? Yeah,
I think there's usually some sort of like monumental PR that they have, some sort of big lift. In their mind is a big lift.
It's like a result, like a number where they're seeing proof firsthand.
Yeah, that when we first started, I said, hey, this was going to happen. They didn't really believe that. And then it happened, and they're like, oh man, this is crazy. Like, this one girl I coached, I'll remember this story for the rest of my life. She was real tall as a rugby girl. She was the worst on the team physically, literally. She was the worst on the team.
Talented or just the worst?
Physically, she just wasn't in shape.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm getting to know her, I'm talking to her, and just I'm picking up, you know, I try to listen a lot to the little things that people say, and I try to put together this story over time in my head, like what's really going on a deeper level with these people. I think that's super important. So she's telling me she ran track in high school, and she's telling me some of her times. I'm like, that's pretty good. So this girl's either full of shit or something like it went wrong in her life. But she didn't seem like one of those people that is a bullshitter. So I just was working with her. I was working on it with her diet. She was somebody that paid attention to me with most of the things that I said. And as time goes on, she was a forward, so their job is similar to like linemen in football. Like they're not running down the field, but this girl was ran track in high school at the 100 hurdles. And there was a game where like the backs, they're the ones running down the field. They were just not doing their job. And next thing you know, this girl just had enough. She just takes off down the field. You just see her passing everybody. And then this girl that catches the ball, she just train wrecks this girl. She gets up, her nose is bleeding, like does not a care in the world. But you can just tell, like in that moment in time, it clicked in her, like, yeah, I'm a fucking beast. And I was like, it was like a proud moment in my life.
That's some of the most like rewarding feelings, is just to help somebody else, or just be a part of that and witness that
For
reaching
sure.
their next level. It's like,
because it's in there.
Yeah.
It's already in there. My job is to like, hey, why is it not coming out? Let me get through that. And then once they make that decision to like bring that out, it's usually something like that. Then they're sold. They're into it.
Yeah.
And but you just gotta weather the storm. I've been called every name in the book coaching, but to me it's like, all right, I'm doing something right if I'm getting called that. But I think if you're gonna coach like that, you have to be the same. You can't be wavering on the way that you coach. You have to be the same thing every single time.
Consistent with your own character.
For sure.
Yeah, and I think that goes in with everything. As a parent, as a teacher, as a coach, as a friend. I think we all got to be consistent with what we're doing.
For sure.
Because the way we do one thing is the way we do everything.
That's true, man.
So what brought you from, you were in Delaware coaching the D1 athletes, and then did you go from there to Florida? Or?
Yeah, so I was coaching in Pennsylvania. I opened up my own gym in Delaware, and that was private sector stuff, and that's where I did, UFC, I did CrossFit and that stuff, and I was working with truly some of the best in the world, and like top 10. And from there, I did that for 5 years. I just feel like I figured it out. I feel like I figured out CrossFit, and I was like, okay, I know how to coach this sport now. Now it's just a matter of recruiting the right athletes, putting the time in and going. And I was a little bored with it. I was a little bored with my situation there, and owning, like running a business, like a brick and mortar business, and trying to coach. It just was it took a lot of the passion out of it, trying to do the business side of things. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna walk away. And this is something where I feel like, part of what I coach is, being able to listen to your intuition and kind of being in touch with your path. And I just walked away. I felt like it was the right move. And, of course, people around me, they're like, what are you doing, dude? Like, why?
Yeah.
You got this business, you're crushing it coaching, what's going on? So I left, I just picked up and I moved to Hawaii. Had no idea what I was doing. I lived out in Maui for a year. And from there, I met a lot of great people, man. And, I had a lot of really ups and downs in the beginning, especially the beginning was brutal. But, I just met some great people that I just knew that my path was the right thing to do, because it's like I was homeless at one point for like I went from I had nowhere to live. That morning, all my stuff packed up in a suitcase. I did a gymnastics seminar, and then after the seminar, I had nowhere to live. And this guy at the seminar was like, I only met him maybe twice ever. He was like, hey, so I heard you don't have a place to live. I'm like, yeah, man, it's all good. Like in my head, I'm like, I'm in Hawaii. Worst case, I'll just like sleep on the beach or something. I was like, I'll figure it out. I was like, yeah, man, everything's gonna work out. He's like, well, I might have a place to stay if you're down with that. I'm like, yeah. So he brings me to this beachfront condo. He's like, yeah, you can live here. So he let me live there by myself for 4 months. Gave me a job, gave me a car, like just out of the kindness of his heart, man. Wow. So it's like things like that happen. I feel like when you're on, you're on the right path.
Yeah,
and, I'll be forever grateful, for this guy and his family and everything that they've taught me and done for me. But I think that kind of stuff happens when when you're doing the right thing, even though it might be difficult. And you're like, yo, I'm staring down. I went from up here to homeless.
Yeah.
Again, homeless. But then just things change.
How do you gain confidence, like in knowing your path or trusting your intuition? Because it seems like you're very connected with your intuition and what your path or purpose should be.
Sure.
Like, is that something that just naturally came to you, or is it something that you practice on? Or?
I think a little bit of both. I think I've been just kind of naturally intuitive. My life, I've always been like just weird things. Like I love the Flyers. I love watching hockey. I just even when I was a young kid, I could just feel like, oh man, they're about to let one in, man. It's like just weird things like that. And I just thought it was coincidence, and maybe it is, but. I think you can definitely develop it, and I think that's kind of part of the process of what I teach people, and just being able to quiet your mind. And like meditation is basically just like quieting your mind, and you know, they talk about this in different like religious texts, and like praying is kind of like putting it out to the universe, and meditating is like shutting up and listening to the answer.
Yeah.
You know, and being able to just feel, okay, like I put something out there and I listen to the answer. And to me, that's my intuition just kind of telling me the answer. And then you have to have the courage to follow it, as crazy as it sounds.
Yeah.
So if it's like
that, I honestly feel the exact same way. It's like to get past our monkey brain and to get past that constant mental chatter in that present moment is when our truest or highest self can really speak, or we can hear our intuition. But I think we're so covered with distractions and this constant mental chatter of the past or the future or comparing or something like that, we get to miss out on our intuition and miss out on like our superhero self.
Yeah, 100%, man. And then a lot of times if you do hear your intuition, people don't have the courage to listen to it, and then they start making up this story in their brain of like, nah, I don't think that's really what it was saying. And just going back to this is what I want versus this is where I should go.
But how do we strengthen that courage of trusting what our gut tells us?
Just doing it.
Yeah, just
being fearless and just knowing that it's gonna work out.
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna die.
Yeah, I always feel like doing one rep makes another rep easier.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? So once you succeed in overcoming, that chatter one time, then when the chatter comes again, you get a little stronger. It's just like building those strength through repetitions. Right?
For sure, absolutely. But yeah, the more you do it, the easier it is. The more you say yes, the easier it is to say yes. The more you say no, the easier it is to say no, for sure.
So what are you working on now, or is there a certain project that you're on? Because you mentioned before how you quit your job at the gym and you went full-time going online. Is there another project, or are you just all online, or are you coaching anyone in person right now?
I coach a team right now, a powerlifting team, but most of my focus is on them and online. And I work with a couple people one-on-one, but I'm trying to really not do that as much. I'm trying to really reserve that for people like my team that are like all in.
Yeah.
And I'm working on a project of basically making programs for people that are either interested in getting to work out or they already work out, and just normal people, not like, hey, I want to be a professional athlete. Like, if that's the case, like hit me up and we'll talk about that. But I want to save my like one-on-ones for those types of people. But I think that I can reach way more people through the internet by just doing video tutorials and modules and having programs. Like I just finished a program that's designed for women listen, if you do like a little bit of working out, this is gonna be perfect for you. It just starts you off and gets you to the point by the end of 8 weeks, you feel comfortable doing like a very, very heavy lift of your basic movements. And a lot of people don't have that courage because one, they don't build it up properly, because it can be dangerous, So if you build people up properly and teach them along the way, like, hey, here's how you do it in a way that's safe and you're gonna feel comfortable doing it, then by the end it's like, okay, now they can really take off. And that's where people really start to feel like they're doing something big, when it's like, I just lifted this, or I just tried to lift this and I couldn't.
Yeah.
What do I do now? It's like, well, you do this, and this, and then you train for a couple weeks, and then you try it again, like, oh man, I did that. And it's like that maximum effort, that's what I love the most, because there's no lying about that. Either you can lift it or you can't. And then either you did the work to lift it later or you didn't. The weight's not going to lift itself if you didn't put the work in.
It's such a clear result.
For sure.
Yeah.
And it's that process right there. If I'm not good enough, but I want to be good enough, that process is, to me, like how you be successful in literally anything in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm trying to teach that. People like, all right, let's say, you have a relationship that's not working. Okay, my behaviors are not working and I need to get here, so I need to change something, and it's not going to be comfortable, it's not going to be fun necessarily, but it's going to be so rewarding and worth it that you can apply that process to anything. So that's what I'm working on, is having more and more programs like that to reach as many people as I can, that just teach people, hey, listen, you can be way more happy in your life by just lifting some weights.
What is your next level, or how do you see yourself when you vision yourself as the next level Ian Hardin?
So I'm working on this too, man. I mean, I'm still like every single day I'm working on myself, and I try to surround myself with people that are going to help elevate me, that are into the things that I'm doing. And maybe this guy is into this one thing and this guy's into this other thing. But yeah, I mean, I just want to live a life that I feel like, okay, I'm doing the things that I want to do, and that's it. And the things that I want to do are help people. And I feel like if you really help yourself up, if you fill yourself up, it's way easier to just give out. Like,
Yeah.
you know, if your cup is just overflowing with love, you're like, here,
Yeah.
you take some, you take some, you take some.
Yeah.
Where if it's empty all the time, you start to get this.
Dude,
real,
I
like,
love that analogy because
Yeah.
it's like you have to take care of yourself first before you're able to take care of anyone else around you. You know, it reminds me of that saying I mention all the time. It's like the first time I ever went on an airplane. You know, it blew my mind to hear the stewardess say to put your own mask on before you even put your kids on. You know, because if you don't take care of yourself first, you're no
Yeah.
help to anyone else around you. And in the same way of, you know, the more that you sharpen your own saw and the better that you make yourself, the more you're able to impact, influence, and help out, you know, the people that you care about the most, all the way to, you know, just the project or things in the world that you care about. You're just more effective.
For sure. I think it comes down, it's just leadership. It's a way better leadership style to be like, hey, come follow me,
Yeah.
versus do this, and
Yeah.
people look up to you and they're like, hey, I want to be like you. How do I do that? Like, I just do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Just come meditate with me in the morning. Start there, or do this, do that. You know, do it. Just come with me.
Yeah.
Come with me. Come. You know, that's, I think, the best leadership style is, this is what I'm doing. You guys want to come?
So where do we find Ian Hardin?
So I'm on all my platforms the same. Red 5 Performance, TikTok.
Red 5 Performance, and I'll put all of the links of all of that in the description below. So your Instagram,
TikTok, YouTube, and that's where I'm at. I'm doing some Facebook stuff, but I'm in the beginning stages
Yeah.
of that. I definitely prefer, my favorite stuff is TikTok right now, but Instagram, been on there for a bit, and YouTube. I'm trying to have, like, TikTok the way it is, it's just you're grabbing people's attention. You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of what it is. Instagram, I feel like, is a little bit more, my Instagram's a little bit more on the science side of things, and YouTube's gonna be a lot more in depth. So if it's like, hey, here's 15 seconds, let me teach you a quick tip. Let me say something's gonna grab your attention and give you one quick tip, that's TikTok. Cool, all right, now here's some more like in-depth stuff on Instagram, and then here's like a full tutorial on YouTube and that kind of stuff. But yeah, so that's where you can find me.
That's awesome. Well, you heard it, guys. Make sure to check out the links in the description. The links in the description below. We have many other links as far as where to make sure you're following Ian Hardin at Red 5 Performance. Thanks so much for watching. We also have a bunch of new updates on www.thewillgrant.com, so make sure you check that out. And if you're interested in joining in on conversations like this live, where you can come and interact with your questions, go over to chatwithwillgrant.com and reserve your spot for the next live chat. Thanks, guys, and I will see you soon. Bro, that was sick. Dude, that went so well.
Good.
That was rad. That was sweet. Whew.